Hello Homeworthy, I'm Sandrine and welcome to my home in North London. Come on in, I'm going to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, I'm Sandrine Zhang Ferron and I'm the CEO and founder of Vinterior, and we are the leading marketplace for vintage, antique and pre-loved furniture. So we are here in my home in North London. So we are in Islington, in a triangle between Arsenal for the football fan, Stoke Newington in Highbury. It's a house from, I think, the 1890s, so a Victorian Terrace house. That has been extended by the previous owners, and it's been my home for 12 years now. It's quite a funny story how we moved into this house. So with my husband, we used to be in a loft-style flat in Shoreditch, so very open spaces, exposed brick, like an open kitchen, and it was very modern, very fun when you were in our late 20s, early 30s, but at some point we couldn't stand having people being sick on a doormat on the weekend. So it was getting a bit crazy in Shoreditch. And so we started looking a bit further from central London. And one of my best friends, actually Leslie, who also was co-founder of Vinterior, sent me this ad for this house, which at the time felt really way above our budget, and also felt like, oh, it's zone 2, like that's way too far from central London. But we came here, visited the house, and just instantly, felt that it was the right space. In London, there are a lot of, I think typically people like to have very small rooms, a lot of partitions, all cozy, and I think probably energy efficient. But we really like to have like open and lateral space. We like the neighborhood, we like the space. There is not too much work to be done, so let's just take a bet, and gonna be a good investment, and yeah, no regrets. So welcome to my reception room. Here, like many Victorian houses, there used to be 2 different rooms. And when the previous owner opened it and knocked down the partition wall, we really liked the big space. But then it was really difficult to furnish and decorate. We didn't really know how to make use of all the space. So when we did our last renovation, our interior designer had this brilliant idea to create a built-in kind of shelf that will also let the light through, so that we could have, make the most of the space. So where I'm standing here, that's, I would say, is a grown-up reception space. So that's where we'll be having maybe pre-dinner drinks with our friends. Where like on the back side, it's more like the TV room. So, we can have adults, drinking some wine, where like the kids are watching TV, and really make more use of the space now. So what we wanted was really a lot of light, and that's why I will show you when you were walking to the house, there was this like long corridor and a long wall. But we felt it was a shame that we just like had this big wall. So we knocked it down. It wasn't a structural wall, and we replaced it with crystal windows. So you can enter through here. It's like brighter, and like just give a lot of sense of space. It's very bright. We have the sun from here. So here we have more a modern sofa on which I love reading books. But I would say the overall style is quite modern, eclectic. So we have here mid-century Travertine coffee table, and Missy Fu, my cat, is sleeping on a chair from the 90s, made by Dillon and Wheeler. And we have a pair of those. It is bouclé, which is very bad when you have a cat, but normally Missy Fu is not allowed in here, but he's having a nap and enjoying the camera. And we have an Art Deco drink cabinet, which is a bit wobbly, because also those Victorian houses don't have foundation, so the house is not really level, but I think that's adds to the charm. And so we have all our liquor here, pretending to be grown-ups when we have friends at home. And here behind me is our ceramic leopards. Whenever I was browsing Vinterior, like the decor section, I was looking at those huge leopards and also I want one day. I wonder who buy those and how you can fit. And when we had our, I think, 9-year wedding anniversary, which is, ceramic for the gifting, I said, okay, I'm going to buy that for my husband. And it's going to be a great excuse to have these leopards at home. And I really love our rug as well. It was bespoke made. I think we liked the idea of having checkers of different colors. So we chose this color palette with our interior designer and had the rug made at the exact right dimension for this room. So I think, it's really worth making something bespoke when you want. Obviously, I'm always up to buying secondhand, but sometimes, when you want to fit the exact dimension, bespoke is also the way. The renovation, we try to keep the period feature as much as we could. So we have obviously the cornices and also the original fireplace here. It's not in use, but I think it's a great decorative element. And I like the contrast of the black versus I think the rest of the room which is rather bright. And here we had an empty space when we moved into the home. And I love reading. We have a lot of books, so we had a shelf custom built here with some lighting and some, cabinet just to hide all the technology cable router mess. I try to organize my books by color, which result in kind of sorting them by genre as well. So you can have all the mystery books in black and fantasy. And I think we have a lot of French books as well that we brought from France, and the miscellaneous books. But it's very, very hard to find a place for books. I have a lot stored somewhere in a mess, but that's more like the beautiful display. So I always find it quite hard to decide about art. So I tend to just, if there is a piece that I like, I'm just gonna buy it and find a place for it. A few years ago, we had that stand at Decorex, which is an interior design, exhibition. And one of the pieces we had on our space was this picture. And I really liked it, so I just bought it. I just found a place on the fireplace. And there are two pieces of marquetry that I picked here. I think that go really well with bare walnut cabinet. They're from an artist in Bristol called Chelsea Vivash. So I really love houseplants, and I keep adding more and more, although I'm not so bad at keeping them alive. I managed to get a cactus to die, which is very hard. So I think ivy is typically quite hardy and sturdy. So we had a lot of ivy, and I think it just brings a lot of green. Obviously, we are in London. It's a big city, and so I think just having some green is very peaceful. And here we have a terrarium that's one of my best friend, Leslie. We went to a workshop together for my birthday, and it was very fun. Because I don't know if you knew, but terrarium very popular, I think, in the 18th century because they are self-watering. So great way. It's very hard to kill them as well. I buy most things online, but I think for decor, actually, I tend to buy them in person, and I like to collect objects when I go travel. And so obviously I mentioned the terrarium. That is more kind of a souvenir from my friends. Here we have a milk bottle. It's a milk bottle from Rwanda. We went there to do some gorilla trekking for my husband's 40th birthday. It was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and obviously a lot of crafts. I think this elephant, we brought it back from Sri Lanka. Obviously the country of the elephant. And what else? Have a little figurine from, guess where, Chile. I think that was the last trip before COVID. We went to Patagonia, the wine region, and Atacama, and one of the most gorgeous places in the world. And we didn't go to the Easter Island, didn't have time, but found a little statue to remind myself to go soon. And here is a kind of papier-mâché vase from a London-based artist called De La Jardin, which I think I found on Instagram, and I really love it, and obviously, was in my checker phase, so that was perfect to fit there, and more plants. Here I'm going to show you our TV room. So obviously, the objective was to have a very comfortable sitting. We used to have a set of Togo sofa, and Togo sofa are probably the most comfortable sofa in the world, but it was a gray set, so it didn't really fit with a color scheme. And well, another Decorex finding that for a stand, I think 2 years ago at Decorex, we had a Camaleonda sofa. I sat on it, felt, oh. Feels like being on the clouds, almost as comfortable as Togo. So, browse the website to find like this set that was reupholstered in taupe, and I felt would work great here. Unfortunately, when I tried, it's like much harder than I anticipated because it's an early edition from C&B Italia before B&B made them. So less comfortable, but it's beautiful. So just trying to find a way with a cushion to to sit comfortably when we're watching TV with my husband, and to stay in the 70s themes. Here we have a coffee table, with some chrome and tubular shape. Here we have some art pieces that still need to be hung. It's from an artist based in Chile. Called Felipe Castro. We have other pieces in the house, and I think my husband is a bit obsessed with him. I think this room is quite eclectic, right? You have kind of a 70s sofa and coffee table, a Moroccan Beanie Warren rug. So like what's gonna fit in there? I just wanted to have some bamboo, and found this from a dealer in Belgium, and it was a perfect size because I really hate media units. And we didn't really know what to do for the TV. I think, if I had to do it again, I would probably have a built-in storage, like hide the TV, but because we hung the TV on the wall, we wanted also to have a piece of furniture just to add some balance. And I really liked this bamboo sideboard when I saw it, and worked perfectly in terms of dimensions. Whenever possible, I try to buy pieces which are, rescued, vintage, or just upcycled. And here, that's, the lamp base, I think is kind of upcycled piece of marble that we found from Retrouse, maybe, I think, and wavy lampshade. So, and it's all, PET tested, rewired. Because the Camaleonda sofa is quite low, and we wanted to have something that would fill the space between our two lighting. And I found this tapestry from Firm Living. The funny story is that it has been folded and in a cupboard for 2 years because I had no idea how to hang a tapestry. But finally we booked someone on TaskRabbit to have it done with us. And I think just makes the room feels, bigger. And also, add a bit of color in the same tone. So I think overall, we really try to pick our lighting with a lot of care, and it was a combined effort with our interior designer who had great taste. So here to, have a more diffuse light, we have a pair of sconces in Murano glass. And they have a very soft lighting, so perfect when we are watching TV. And we try to mix and match styles. So, in the TV room, we have kind of like Finnish design, quite modern, looking like a UFO type of lighting. Whereas in the reception room, we have a pendant. I think that was coming from a German dealer. But I really like the organic shape, the material, a mix of teak and some rope. And I think it works really well in this room. When I think about my career, really nothing could have led me to start Vinterior and be in tech and in the furniture industry. So I studied in France, and I specialized in a master in finance, because at the time, in the early 2000s, I think that was probably the coolest thing you could do, is like working in finance, in Wall Street, in the city, and I just find it really glamorous. I wanted to work on the trading desk. It was before, the subprime crisis. So really wanted to go to finance. Did that, started at a small brokerage firm, and worked in finance for in total of 8 years. And at some point I said, okay, I learned a lot, made some good savings, but I just can't see myself spend the rest of my life doing that and making rich people richer. I was thinking, like the day I die, I don't want to think, okay, that's all I've achieved. Just, manipulating things, not building anything really, but just turning money into more money. And at the same time, that's how we moved home from Shoreditch to here, and had to, for me, like it was a grown-up place where we would have a family. So we want to make sure that the house will be unique, have some soul, and all the furniture from a flat at Shoreditch wouldn't fit because like more modern, and most of it was more flat packs, kind of what you buy for your first house. And so I spent a lot of time going to all the designer furniture shops. But then I felt like everything's so expensive. You want to have a good quality, great looking furniture. And also I don't want to wait for 4 months to have a sofa made. And also it felt a bit stuffy, like if you walk into a shop and maybe didn't have the right outfit or the right shoes, I felt like the shop attendant wasn't really attentive. And so I was more attracted to antique shops because it just felt different, more unique, and more affordable. And absolutely wanted to find a yellow vintage armchair to match my cat's missyful eyes. And it took me 3 months to find it. I went to all the shops, North London, East London, Chiswick, South London, and finally found it after 3 months in a small shop in Dalston called Chase & Sorensen. And I said, okay, that's perfect, that's exactly what I want, but why did it take 3 months to find it? Surely there is a better way. And so I decided, okay, maybe there is an opportunity there. Talked about the idea to some friends, including a friend working in VC, saying, I have this idea. I want to give it a try. What should I do? Because I didn't really know how to handle the tech. Saying like, should I hire an engineer, hire an agency? And so like, why don't you learn to code? I was like, yeah, I do like a boot camp. So quit my job in finance, did a 3 months boot camp at Makers Academy. It was like going back to uni. And like build a website and launch the website with 12 London dealers and 1 product. And that's the long story of how we are here today. So welcome to my kitchen. That's my favorite room in the house, because that's where we spend most of our time. Our daughter plays here. That's where we come when we are with friends and family. And we fully refurbish it. So when we moved in, it was already open up. I think probably it was 2 different rooms before, but I didn't really like the cabinet. We had a lot of hanging cabinet with closed door, and I really hate those for some reason. And like they were like in white, quite shiny, and I didn't like it. And we had wooden floor, which is terrible in a kitchen when you use it a lot. And the floorboard just get wet and swollen. So we decided to do a full refurbish, to have a kitchen which was like more functional because we love cooking. We had quite a small island as well, just not working for us. So for that, we worked with interior designer company specialized in kitchen. And what was great with that, they really tried to understand how we were using the kitchen, right? It was not just about making it beautiful, but making sure that it was fitting our lifestyle. So when we renovated the kitchen, We changed the floor entirely. We removed the wooden board and realized that the kitchen had no foundation. It was just resting on some bricks. But also that gave us the opportunity to dig a bit and increase ceiling height for the kitchen. We couldn't dig too much because otherwise we would have needed to change the windows. But that allowed us to gain maybe 10 centimeters. And we put in this micro cement on the floor, which, is very easy to maintain, very easy to clean. We wanted to have a very large kitchen island and, a lot of debate. Do we put the hob here or the tap? And I think for us, it was very important to have clean lines and to have nothing that obstructs the view, I have to say. So we didn't want to have a huge extractor fan to be in the middle of the room hanging from the ceiling, and we didn't want to have a tap. And so we discovered those Bora cooker where you can have extractor fan actually built in the cooker. So, and that's, very, very smart, and it worked very well because when you're cooking, basically just like suck all the cooking fumes from underneath and like recycle it. And just allow you to have a very clean space. And I also had to switch from gas to induction, but actually now I wouldn't go back. We decided that really want to favor functionality. So we want to have a very solid and child-proof material for the countertop. So that's kind of a sort of a stone, which is very easy to clean. I think, obviously we like the look of marble, but as the idea that any stain or, putting some lemon on it could damage it was too stressful for people who like to use their kitchen. So we found a good compromise here. It's quartzite. I think it has a bit of a look of marble, but it's much easier to maintain. And as I mentioned, I really hate those hanging closed cabinets, but we wanted to have more storage space. And that's why we found this glass cabinet, which is all open, where we can put our glassware, tea, and doesn't feel so bulky. Another vintage element here, there are lights, Italian lights from the 80s in the style of Serge Mouy. And obviously, we liked it because the black element just goes well with the tap and the crystal door. Yeah, so the walls are painted in a pink ground from Ferron and Poul, in the modern emulsion, so very easy to clean. I picked the color, obviously, because we felt that obviously the furniture here is quite cool tones between, the white cabinets and like the concrete flooring. So I felt like adding a bit like of a warmer color could be nice. And I think it works well. Because we're in England, we have bow windows, which can be a bit tricky. You don't really know what to put there. And so, because we did the renovation when I was pregnant, and we knew that a child would just bring absolute chaos to the house, we decided that we really need to have a lot of storage where we can stuff all the mess away. And so we had this, custom bench built. It has very big drawer. I will show you very quickly, where you can really hide all the toys and gadgets from our daughter, and had those, cushion made as well. We like the fabric. We found it interesting. My brother-in-law said, "Oh, it looks like a 70s camper van fabric." So I don't know if it's a compliment or not. I think one of my earlier purchases, which are not vintages, but they are vintage now, are those bar stools. And, I think previously the owner had left us with some very lightweight bar stools that didn't feel very secure and was not beautiful. So I wanted to have something very solid, heavy. And I love those pieces. I think they're American, actually, from Blue Dot. So the mix of leather and wood. And here we have a dresser from the 18th century. So that's obviously, quite odd with a quite contemporary looking kitchen, but we wanted to, mix a bit the old and the new. And I found like it fit well the space, and actually it came in 2 pieces. So I think here those hooks is where people were hanging cups. We haven't used it that way. I'm just putting some cooking books and some ceramic. All the art in the kitchen has been pretty much picked by my husband. We have a couple of steak heads called the Folsom and the Connoisseur, which we had from our first flat in Shoreditch, which I think the Folsom is someone with maybe like something looking like ribeyes on the head, whereas the Connoisseur maybe has fillets. But yeah, it looks more stylish with the moustache and everything. And we just changed the frame when we moved here, with like more brass looking frame to go well with pale pink painting. But yeah, those are the pieces we kept with us. A random pasta encyclopedia that my husband posts on Instagram. I mean, it has nothing special. I think just felt right in the kitchen. And I was mentioning Felipe Castro, the Chilean artist, so that's another piece from him. I think he really liked the colors. And that actually is the first piece we bought from Felipe Castro. I think we were in a cafe in Valparaiso, which is a town maybe a couple of hours from Santiago. And we were in like this kind of a cafe lifestyle shop. And there was this painting hanging and like with this striking blue and orange. I said, oh, that's cool. That will go well in the kitchen. And we asked the owner if he could ship it to London. So like, no problem. I think it was just $100, so that felt quite affordable, and we really like it. And here you can see the yellow chair where it all started. So I remove the cushion. So that's a Poul Volther chair from the 50s. It's Danish. That's a chair that really gave me the idea for Vinterior. I found it in a shop in East London called Chase and Sorensen. That was my first vintage purchase. It's very comfy. That was like the chair also Missy for my cat liked to be in. We never changed. I think it's the original upholstery. You can see like very thin and softer cushion. I never really figured out if here in the arm, the wood had been cut afterward or it had only been that way. But, really a typical, very sleek lines, typical from the mid-century Scandinavian furniture, and what inspired me to start Vinterior. Here we have our dining table and chairs. The dining table is never going to leave the house because it weighs 450 kilos, which is 1,000 pounds. Bespoke made in Italy, and the dealer, I think when they delivered it, it came with his 2 brothers and his dad. So it was 4 of them coming through those steps and like delivering it. I think at the time I was still on maternity leave with our newborn, and it was a bit scary to see what I would be doing, and like we had to really to put it at the right place because it would never leave. The gray and the concrete and the travertine can make the room feel a bit cold. We wanted to add some touches to bring some warmth to the room, so that's why I chose those chairs from the 20s, which are tonneau chairs, with bent wood, so great curve, and a tone that is like warmer, and also to contrast, I think, with cretal and the black windows, we had those details made. So we had actually to change the staircase because we dug another 10 centimeters, and so I had to change the entire staircase. Didn't anticipate it would be such a difficulty, but it allowed us to also do some built-in storage where hide the mess, bags of bags, pantry, but also I think I had seen that in a Japanese restaurant. We added those oak baton with some sensor LED light to just to add like some feature. And here is my husband wine collection. So he has some wine delivered every week, faster than we can drink. That has become his hobby. And so, I think we had to compromise between storage and not having too many bulky cabinets. But, as a result, we are very happy with the storage amount. So we have a full fridge, a wine cabinet, a full freezer, which was very handy when, I was weaning my daughter. And here we have an oven and a microwave. I don't know, it seems like microwave have felt out of fashion because kitchen designer really was against having a microwave, saying, don't you want to have a steam oven? Like, okay, I'm going to have a child. I need a microwave. At home, we really like world food. We like, strong flavors, spicy food. So I would say when we host, we like to, for example, having a tacos party, making some slow-cooked pulled pork in the slow cooker and making like a very spicy salsa and guacamole. And that's very easy and casual. Okay, now, so let's head upstairs and I'm going to show you our bedrooms. When I think about my interior design style, I think there is none. It's probably just very eclectic. I think I really follow my gut instinct. So, I think my preferences have evolved over time. At first, when I didn't know much about furniture, started 10 years ago, I was really attracted by mid-century pieces, clean lines, teak and all kind of wooden-based furniture. And I think as I maybe, became more grown up in my taste and obviously learned more about it with my job at Vinterior, I started to try bolder choices. So, like strong patterns, bolder colors, mixing and matching different styles. So, I think in my house we have a lot of Art Deco pieces that we mix also with, mid-century, like pieces from the 19th and 70s. So just being more confident. Trying things that maybe not so typical, but that are my styles. Yes, so I would say like the house is probably like eclectic with touches of Art Deco. And here, welcome to our main bedroom. That was the last room we did in the house. Actually, when we did the work, we had in mind really to do the kitchen, the living room, our daughter bedroom, that used to be a guest bedroom, the loft. But then we saw that our main bedroom was all right, and then we didn't need to change it. But then when all the other rooms were ready, we just felt like the room didn't look good and had to have more work. So I think, like with a hindsight, next time I do a project, I will just do everything at once. I think the overarching theme for the room is more like Art Deco, Nouveau Deco-ish. Really, really inspired, I think, by this beast, which is probably the statement piece in the room. So that's, I think, 1930s. Art Deco piece from England, and it has in burr walnut, and it has this very interesting shape for the drawer. Quite a heavy and massive piece, and when our interior designer suggested it, we absolutely loved it. And I think, just chose all the other elements to fit that Art Deco style. So here you can see that for the bedside table, we also picked some pieces that were in like walnut to match that. And we have some Art Deco styles sconces, which are actually from the 90s in Murano glass, but they're in the style of Art Deco. And we had the headboard tailor-made. So we were inspired by a bed from Soho Home, but I think the dimension didn't work, and we wanted it to exactly this color palette. So we had the headboard made, the bed base, you will see is like in a velvet burgundy, and actually we bought something from Soho Home here, which is this bench in this like olive shade and velvet as well. and a very, very comfy bed, which is like the most important. This guy is, I think, 80s brass lamp that came from Kempton Market. That's kind of a brocante flea market that happens once or twice a month, outside of London. And I always wonder, like, who and how do you put those big brass palm lamps? And I felt, okay, with the Art Deco room, that's the opportunity to do that. You will see here my favorite chair of the moment. It's a lawn chair that I bought probably 5 or 6 years ago, but at the time it was a project, so there was no cushions at all. It was just a frame, and I like the shape, and I like the the arm made of leather. It just like sat in the storage room for years, and my husband just said, you need to do something about it. You need to have the cushion made, otherwise I'm gonna get rid of it. So it happened that I have an upholsterer just nearby. Went there, and I wanted to have stripes. And I said, okay, let's find some stripe in Vinterior green. Do you have that? And the upholsterer didn't have anything in their catalog, but suggested that we check Colour of Harley in East London, and they have a huge palette, and you can bespoke choose. So Louisa, the owner of Colour of Harley, recommended this thickness and this fabric, and that's the place where I just have a morning coffee here. I'm sitting here, checking my emails, having my coffee, and just enjoying the morning sun, and it's very comfy. You can see there is a lot of green. So actually here we have another custom-made rug with fine lines. And yeah, again, I think for rugs, it's hard to figure out the right dimension. So we had it bespoke made. We also, in terms of art, stayed in the green shade. So here we have just some drawings of plants. Our bedroom used to be oriented differently, I think, because here there used to be a fireplace that was removed. This is above, I think, the fireplace of the living room. And here we had 2 gaps. So we had the bed this way, and our interior designer said, oh, I suggest you move it that way and have built-in storage, which was a brilliant idea. Use the space here where the chimney was sat to build a little desk with a drawer where we can put my makeup, get ready in the morning with my shield mirror, and this little cute stool, which is a stool from Halabala. A few years ago, we stayed at a very nice house in the Cotswold who had those fluted cabinets door. That's where we took inspiration for those doors. So I think we wanted to have quite fine flute in kind of a neutral color, and I think it all blends perfectly together. And here we are in Bella's, my 4-year-old daughter bedroom. As you can see, she likes yellow. So it used to be a guest bedroom, and I think the walls were painted in blue. It was quite bare and neutral. So when we renovated, we wanted to have a very joyful and bright child bedroom for Belen. And we thought that yellow was a good color that was not too gendered. And she happened to like yellow as well. So I think the whole space is built around those built-in storage. Because we have quite a wide wall here, there's a great opportunity to have a built-in storage and to make an arch that will feel very cozy for Belen when she will be in her bed. So the arch allows us to fit her baby cot at the time, and I think it was built so that we can fit her toddler bed, and then also if we stay in the room or if we sell the house, we can also fit a queen-size bed this way. So the joinery was made to fit a child, quite a large doorknobs, a lot of drawers so that she can, pick her own pyjama from them, t-shirt, etc., and like some built-in shelf so that, like a little person can pick her own book. And here she has a collection of Sylvan families, people. Sylvan families is kind of a typical British, like figurine toys. And nearby there used to be the last shop in London. And so, like that's how she built a little collection. But I think she's still more of a Disney girl. We just wanted to make everything, within reach. So obviously she has a little desk here, a little chair that she's not using yet. She doesn't have any homework. She started school, but, it's mostly play. But, we have a mirror, a vintage mirror that allows us to get ready in the morning. And she really likes to, be like, oh, I'm so beautiful in the morning, which is very cute for a 4-year-old. We have the elephant in the room. It was a present gift from my best friend Leslie for Belen when she was born. It's designed by Eames. And a very comfy sofa here. That's where we sit to read, bedtime stories. It can be the three of us sitting here with my husband. And obviously because we have, a lot of yellow, the wall are in yellow, so we thought let's find some yellow art as well. And I don't know if you know about those vintage kind of French school posters. They were like more educational, and they are around like, fruits, vegetables, meat. You can have different versions. So we found a papaya version just to have the yellow touches and some butterflies. Because the room was made, I think when Belen was really a baby, we wanted to be really comfortable for her because it's a wooden flooring and we don't really like carpet. We wanted to have a big rug. But then also kind of some decorative elements with this, scalloped shape, yellow and pink rug layer on top, and that's also repeating the heating cover, that we had custom built here in the same kind of dusty pink with a scallop details, and I think all the details. Are around, I think, like this kind of rounded shapes, because the ceiling light is a vintage, I think, pendant from France. You can see also kind of like coral shape that's kind of just mirror the work and the heating cover and the arch of the room and all the little lemons. Home is a bit everything. It's where I spend 90-30% of my time, so it's a place I work, but it's also the place where I relax and have my me time. I think, I'm probably a mix of, extrovert, but also I really like my alone time, reading, reflecting. So, when my husband is at work and my daughter is at school, I really enjoy being at home, reading a book and reflecting. But it's also the place where I have fun. I really love hosting. I like cooking. I like eating, and that's where we have fun and spend time with our friends. Having good food and good wine. So I think my home is everything. It's